In April 2009, Moffra's construction sent a surveillance camera into the sewer pipes beneath Cameron Village in Raleigh, North Carolina. The goal was to inspect the aging infrastructure, originally built in 1949, which was reportedly riddled with problems. During its descent through the pipes, the camera captured a grotesque and baffling sight, a pulsating, blob-like mass clinging to the inner walls. The footage, uploaded online, quickly gained popularity, causing many viewers to draw up theories about what these masses were. Some viewers believed they were looking at alien XX, others thought it might be an undiscovered species. Artists even began producing eerie and imaginative depictions of the strange organism, as if it had stepped straight out of a science fiction horror film. When the footage first emerged, the environmental coordinator for Raleigh's Public Utilities Department was stumped. She initially suggested it was slime mold, but retracted the statement hours later, clarifying that the video had been taken in a private sewer system by a contractor, and that it had no connection to the city of Raleigh or the News River wastewater treatment plant. Ed Buchan, another environmental coordinator with Raleigh Public Utilities, said staff biologists were initially unsettled and baffled. Later, they concluded it was a colony of tubifex worms. These worms had infiltrated weak points in the pipes, and lacking another medium, had wound themselves tightly together into a bulbous uniform mass. The pulsating movement was triggered by the heat from the camera's light. When one worm contracted, the others reacted in unison, making the entire colony appear to throb, as if it were a single living organism. A similar sewer-based internet cryptid is the United Utilities sewer humanoid. On March 31, 2011, the UK-based water company, United Utilities, uploaded a YouTube video titled "Sewer Creature Spotted." Filmed in the sewers of England using a remote-controlled camera, the footage shows a pale, humanoid figure lurking just around a corner. The creature has glowing white eyes, long dangling arms, and pale skin. Throughout the video, it repeatedly peeks from behind the corner before quickly retreating, as if wary of the alien-looking robotic camera. After several tense moments, it vanishes at remarkable speed. When the clip was first uploaded, it made waves online. Theories exploded. Some believed it was a strange humanoid entity. Others suggested a feral human who had adapted to life underground and turned pale from the lack of sunlight. More grounded guesses pointed to an escaped zoo animal, perhaps a monkey. United Utilities Regional Wastewater Network Manager Mike Wood even commented, "Several of our employees have reported sightings of some kind of animal. We've reviewed the CCTV footage, and it certainly doesn't look like a typical sewer rat. We're hoping the public can help us. The animal could possibly be a domestic pet, or feasibly, something that escaped from the zoo. It seems to be feeding on fat deposits that have built up on the inside of pipes." Despite all the speculation, the truth turned out to be far less mysterious. The creature was nothing more than an April Fool's prank, part of a fictional ad campaign warning people to be careful about what they flush down the toilet. First appearing on 2chan in 2001 as part of a creepypasta story, the Kunekune is a Japanese cryptid that has since gained wider attention. After the initial post, other 2chan users chimed in to share their own alleged encounters, and the tale soon spread to other forums and across the internet. The Kunekune is described as a thin, white humanoid shape resembling a paper mannequin, a piece of cloth, or a human-shaped mist. Its name comes from the Japanese word kunekune, meaning to twist or to wiggle, a reference to the creature's distinctive flailing motion, often most visible in its arms, which sway and whip about like long sleeves caught in a sudden gust of wind, even in perfectly still air. In some accounts, its entire body writhes and twists in this unsettling manner. According to online stories, Kunekune sightings most often occur in wide open rice fields, typically around midday, though they've also been reported in other farmland, empty expanses, and on rare occasions, urban settings. They're always spotted from a distance, often mistaken at first for a scarecrow or some other inanimate figure. One of the most well-known accounts tells of two brothers spending the summer at their grandparents' home in the countryside. From afar, they notice a pale figure moving strangely in the distance. Curious, the older brother fetches a pair of binoculars and peers through them. Almost instantly, his face drains of color, and his body begins to tremble. He drops the binoculars without a word. The younger brother, tempted to look for himself, is stopped when their grandfather quickly snatches the binoculars away and orders him back inside. No one explains what happened that day. Later, the grandparents quietly tell the younger boy that it would be best for his brother to remain with them, rather than return to the city. Over time, his brother's mind seems to unravel. His speech regresses, and he spends long stretches laughing and flailing his arms, an eerie imitation of the figure in the field. Fleshgaits are the internet's version of skinwalkers. Since the 2010s, or possibly earlier, a series of campfire and in-a-wood stories have appeared on various forums, especially 4chan, describing a similar creature. In its true form, the Fleshgait is said to be an emaciated pale gray humanoid with long dangling arms and claws, sometimes moving on all fours. It can mimic human voices as well as animal sounds, and it can also imitate a human's appearance. The name Fleshgait comes from synonyms of skin and walker. These creatures quickly became a terrifying staple of many 4chan wood stories. The typical narrative usually goes like this. A group of friends camp in an isolated part of the forest, and at night, they smell a nauseating stench of rotting flesh. This is followed by silhouettes or figures moving quickly and silently, seen either from inside their tents or in the distance. Then comes a piercing, disturbing screech before the strange occurrences vanish as suddenly as they appeared. The protagonist often dismisses these events the next day, blaming wild animals, but things grow stranger. Voices begin to echo from the woods, sometimes incomprehensible chittering or screeching, but often a human voice calling out from deep within the forest. Most of the time, the voice is that of a friend who had gone missing earlier, urging someone to investigate further into the woods. This is how the Fleshgait lures its victims. Weak in groups, it preys on individuals, isolating them one by one, until none remain. Once lured into the woods, the victim is attacked. The flesh is consumed, but the skin outside remains nearly intact. The Fleshgait then wears this skin, perfectly replicating the victim's appearance and even their voice. In some stories, the Fleshgait can only mimic words and phrases it has heard, like a parrot, unable to create new language on its own. Equipped with a soul and appearance and voice, it infiltrates the camp, mostly silent and watchful. The more it observes human behavior, the better it learns. Then, it lures the next victim out under some pretense. Despite its uncanny mimicry, there are a few telltale signs that someone might actually be a Fleshgait in disguise. While it copies appearance and voice, it cannot replicate memories, often forgetting personal details and behaving uncharacteristically. It repeatedly insists on getting you alone in the woods for any reason. Another sign is its unnatural movements, jerky twitching motions, or standing with its back to you, its head twisting unnaturally as if on a pivot. A similar creature mentioned in these stories is the Goatman. Unlike the Fleshgait, the Goatman's true appearance is unknown, but strange sounds and odd occurrences often precede its arrival at a campsite. Unlike the Fleshgait, the Goatman infiltrates groups by taking on the appearance of a completely new person, not an existing member. Though this seems obvious, the Goatman can manipulate memory. Many tales describe a group of, say, 5 people, suddenly growing to 6, with none noticing the extra member. To them, the stranger has always been there. The group ventures deeper into the wilderness, hearing eerie sounds from the forest, until the extra member reveals unnatural behavior, usually sprinting on all fours and screeching, before fleeing back into the woods. Only then do they realize this person was never part of their group. While the Fleshgait's goal is clear, consuming human flesh, the Goatman's intentions are more ambiguous. Some stories say it tries to lure groups deeper into the forest to get them lost and away from civilization. Others suggest it spreads chaos and fear for its own sake. Some portray the Goatman as silent and non-vocal, relying solely on physical and mental camouflage as a quiet extra member of the group. Others depict it as capable of mimicking existing members, speaking like them, and implanting false memories in others. In April of 2022, artist and writer Steph Marsh discovered something startling while experimenting with negative prompts in AI image generation software. Negative prompts are designed to produce the polar opposite of the text input. In this case, Steph Marsh used a negative prompt for Marlon Brando, curious to see what the software would generate as the opposite of the famous actor. Instead of a direct opposite, the AI produced something seemingly random, an image of a logo depicting a skyline with the words Digita Pintix written on it. Assuming that using Digita Pintix skyline logo as a negative prompt would produce a photo of Marlon Brando, Steph Marsh fed this phrase back into the system as a negative prompt. What followed was entirely unexpected. A series of images of a disfigured older woman, marked by triangular patches of rosacea on her cheeks. This woman appeared out of nowhere and remained remarkably consistent in shape across the different images. Steph Marsh named her Loab, referencing the word Loab that appeared faintly in the corner of one AI-generated image. The perplexing issue was that whenever Steph Mosh combined Loab's images with other prompts, the character of Loab persisted stubbornly, appearing clearly within the new images. She attempted to crossbreed Loab with other images and continued this process across several generations of AI-generated photos. No matter how little of Loab was included in the prompts, her figure always prevailed, appearing through multiple themes and art styles, regardless of their differences. Even when Loab seemingly vanished in later generations, she would mysteriously reappear further down the line. Something about Loab's figure was so persistent in the AI's latent space that it surfaced repeatedly, regardless of how little of her remained in the original prompt. As Steph Mosh continued to explore these prompts, the images grew increasingly disturbing, turning gorier, and showing scenes of distorted violence. She was at a loss to explain why images associated with Loab were also tied to violent and unsettling imagery. Many of these images were shared in a Twitter thread, but Steph Mosh claimed she refused to post the most disturbing ones. Several people weighed in with theories about the phenomenon. One user suggested the negative prompt might have latched onto images of faces affected by lupus, as the malar rash on the cheeks closely resembled Loab's triangular rosacea patches. This was plausible, given that search engines contain numerous such images, many taken from similar angles to those of Loab. Other, more outlandish claims followed. One user proposed that Loab might be a demon, or a tulpa, a creature born from intense collective belief in its existence. Loab quickly grew in popularity and was dubbed the first AI-generated cryptid. Many remained skeptical, suspecting the whole thing might be an elaborate hoax crafted by Steph Mosh. Others warned about its emergence, theorizing that as Loab became more popular online, the databases AI models trained on would incorporate more images of her, creating a feedback loop. This, they claimed, would make Loab increasingly prevalent in AI-generated art. A similar cryptid emerged from AI prompts around the same time, Krungus. Twitter user BrainMage shared a series of images generated using the AI image software, Crayon, claiming they depicted a hairy, monstrous humanoid that appeared whenever the prompt Krungus was used, a word he had invented. Krungus persisted for some time, seemingly due to the same unknown cause as Loab, no matter what other words were included in the prompt. Whenever Krungus was entered into Crayon, the software consistently produced images of this creature. This phenomenon continued until the feature or error was removed in a later version of Crayon. On January 31st, 2022, Twitter user Humanoid Lord posted a series of unsettling photographs showing strange, humanoid faces peeking out from around doorways. According to him, the images came from trustworthy sources, and in most cases, the sightings were accompanied by reports of poltergeist activity. He also referenced a creature described by former CIA operative and author Jim Semivan. In a coast-to-coast AM interview, Semivan claimed that his home had experienced poltergeist activity before he encountered the entity. The being reportedly resembled a Death Eater from Harry Potter. It was a hooded, masked humanoid figure. In Semivan's particular case, he believed that this creature had appeared to foretell the death of a close friend. Humanoid Lord suggested that these doorway peepers in the images he shared might be the same type of creature as Semivan's Death Eater. However, there is no evidence to support a direct connection, and they seem more likely to be entirely separate phenomena. Strange figures peering from behind doorframes have been a recurring theme in eerie photographs, both on the internet and in older, pre-internet accounts. As an internet cryptid, the doorway peeper remains largely undefined, lacking any comprehensive lore or backstory, but hopefully may one day be fleshed out into a full-fledged legend.